Now, there is growing opposition to the Electoral Commission's decision to set a 100,000 cedi filing fee for presidential candidates in the upcoming presidential elections. The Commission has argued that it has been 4 years since it's charged 50,000 cedis and is thus justified to increase it. The PPP flag bearer Bridget Jugbenuku, the CPP and Dr. Kojo Asante of the CDD, however, say the fee will prevent some individuals from contesting the elections. There is more in this report.
Every 4 years, we adjust prices as far as the nomination fees are adjusted every 4 years. So 2012, presidential was almost 10,000. 2016, it came to 50,000. Then 2020 is now 100,000. And those of you who know the value of money in each particular year, it's important you look at the value of 50,000 in 2016. Then compared to 50,000 in 2020, then you will notice that the Commission hasn't increased it that much. And then when you look at the parliamentary 10,000, what it actually means is that the Commission has reduced it. Well, we all know that 10,000 in 2016 is not the same as 10,000 in 2020.
The Electoral Commission justifying its decision to fix a fee of 100,000 Ghana cedis as filing fee for presidential candidates. The governing MPP and the opposition NDC have in times past raised some concerns about the fee fixed by the EC. The MPP's Peter McMenu in September 2016 described the fee of 50,000 Ghana cedis as a lot of money. Another member of the party, Nana Obribwahi, in 2020, however, says he sees nothing wrong with the 100,000 Ghana cedis being charged by the EC.
If you can't raise money to file as a presidential candidate, so be it. If you can't raise money to file as a parliamentary candidate, so be it. You get out, and those who are the resources, go ahead.
The NDC's Peter Boama Otokuno says the fee is disappointing as it will exclude some people from contesting. His party in 2016, when the MPP opposed the fee, defended the EC. Then Director of Elections, Samuel Ofosu Ampofo, urged the smaller parties to show resourcefulness by raising the amount. But as they remain in opposition, many of the smaller parties have been consistent in their opposition to the filing fee, and once again say the 100,000 Ghana cedis being charged is unfair.
You can't just say that because it's 4 years down the line, it has to go up by 100%. There should be a reason why it's going up by 100%. Maybe there's some secretarial things, maybe some logistical things. Whatever it is, we should know that for such and such a reason, categorically stated in whichever statement has come out, whichever documentation, we should know.
PPP flag bearer Bridget Jugbenuku wants the EC to review the figure.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I was actually listening to other debaters on the issue, and if you're expecting us to come up with 100,000 cedis, then we are still going around the same issue of monetizing our politics and politics based in, determined by money. And therefore, if one can't afford that filing fee, then it disqualifies them, even if they are capable of being candidates and being president. So I think that should be looked at, and hopefully we hope that it will be reviewed.
So let's get some reaction from some of the minority political parties. Hassan Ayariga is flag bearer of the All People's Congress, the APC. Ms. Ayariga, you're welcome to the show. Well, Reverend Kwabena Andrews, known as Osofo Chirabosom, is also the leader and flag bearer of the Ghana Union Movement, GUM. He is also joining us. Reverend, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I
also have Kofi Akpalo, who is the flag bearer of the Liberal Party of Ghana, and they're all joining me via Zoom. I'm going to start with you. You're welcome, all of you, gentlemen. Let me start with you, Ms. Ayariga. A quick reaction to the 100,000 filing fee announced by the EC. You heard Mr. Obribwahi say, if you are somebody who cannot raise 100,000, then this is definitely not an area for you.
It is not about those who can raise 100,000 and those who cannot raise 100,000. It is about doing the right thing. It's about looking at our democracy and looking at our institutions to do the right thing. For us, we've been trying to understand the reason behind the increment of the 100,000, the 100% of the filing fee of presidential candidates. You see, I remember in COVID-19, and we are still in COVID-19, the president came out with so many stimulus packages, including free water for 3 months, including cutting down electricity and many other things to cushion the Ghanaian people. In COVID, when people are struggling to make ends meet and trying to survive.
Ms. Ayariga, looks like I lost it. Ms. Ayariga, are you still there? Okay, it looks like I have lost him. But let me come to you, Sofo Trabosom. Is this amount okay for you?
Oh, yeah. As far as I'm concerned, all these years I've been in this very country, working very hard towards what I want to achieve on this very this thing. I know definitely God has helped me a lot, and I'll be able to raise this very amount. It's nothing to me.
It's nothing above you. So do you already have an amount sitting down that you're just going to dip your hands in and take and give to the EC, or you're now going to, raise it?
I started working very hard from my childhood, so this thing is already sitting down there, and I'm not now going to look for those money from somewhere. I have it, and I'll pay.
Oh, wow. Okay, Mr. Palu, you have 100,000 cedis to give to the EC. I've lost Mr. Palu as well. It looks like I lost him, and I've lost the APC as well. We'll try and raise them back. I want to know, if the EC fails to review the amount, what will be your next action? But Mr. Sofo Trabosom, you have already indicated this is no problem for you. You're going to take them. You have the money sitting down. You're going to give it to the Electoral Commission. But it doesn't really look like you will win in this election, don't you think so? Looking at the big parties ahead of you.
It's your own presumption. It's your own presumption. For me, I know definitely what I'm going to do, and I'm going to win this very election. Nobody's going to just say the fight that he tell himself that he's going to lose. I'm going to win.
Okay.
And so let's go to the field and see what is going to happen. Just that we need to be fair. There must be a fair play everywhere. The opportunities have to be given to everybody as you are given to us.
So far, you seem to be the only person, apart from the NPP, who says this amount is not.
Yeah.
This amount is easy to pay. Hang on for me briefly. I'll come back to you. Mr. Palu has joined me. Mr. Palu, I didn't hear your thoughts on this one before I lost you. Is this 100,000 something sitting down for you that you're just going to dip your hands in and give to the EC, or you, like the others, want it reviewed? Okay, we'll try and raise him back. You can expect some of these things. Okay, looks like I have him back. Let's try this once more. Mr. Palu, please go ahead for me. I'm hopeful that you hear me. Do you? Okay, it looks like you are muted.
Hello.
Fantastic.
Can you hear me?
Go for it. I hear you.
Yeah, 100,000 is not an issue. It's not a difficult thing for a party. But my concern here is with the parliamentary. The presidential 100,000 to me is okay for everybody to pay the 100,000 because 100,000 is for just one person. Now, when you look at the parliamentary, that is where democracy is actually practiced. And that place, you are asking people to pay 10,000. And if a party should present 275 candidates across the country, we're talking about 2,750,000 Ghana cedis, and I think it's too much. That is where the EC should sit down with the parties and then reduce that fee. Because when Charlotte was said raising from 1,000 cedis to 10,000 cedis, it didn't sit well with anybody. But just that, when you raise your voice, we didn't have anybody to speak for you at that time, because some people, I don't know whether they had the money or not. But when we raised the issue that it was too much and it was too cumbersome for us, people didn't understand us. So to us as a party, we are not going to accept that 10,000 cities for the parliamentary. For the
how much
for the presidential is okay with us.
How much is acceptable for you?
The parliamentary.
Yes, please.
Oh yeah, I should go back to that 1,000 cities. The parliamentary should go back to that 1,000 cities.
1,000. 1,000 cities.
The EC was charging initially.
Okay, 1,000 cities.
1,000 Ghana cities.
Right.
1,000.
I think I have a
yes for parliamentary seats, and then even the presidential is 100,000. It's okay.
Okay. Let me come to you, Mr. Ayariga. Yes. I lost you, but you are back. You were making a point. So Mr. Palu here thinks that 100,000 for presidential candidates is okay. You think it's not okay, and you were making a point before I lost you.
Yes, the justification by the EC to say that the value of money has increased and has changed is not acceptable. For me, I'm not looking at Hassan Ayariga per se and the 100,000. Even if they put it at $1 million, Hassan Ayariga will pay. But the problem is that, is it right to increase it by 100% at this point when Ghanaians are in hard difficulties, Ghanaians are struggling to have end meet? What was the justification? If you increase it today by 100%, what will happen in 2024? Are you going to take it to another 100%? You see, let's be sincere. What is the per capita income of a Ghanaian here? How much is the earning of an ordinary Ghanaian in this country? Which institution or which public office has ever increased salary by 100%? So we should be thinking, we should not be looking for people with more money than more brains. We should rather be looking for people with more brains than more money.
But exactly the point, Mr. Ayariga, exactly the point that has been made, that for the person who has that big a brain to run the affairs of this country, that person should be able to exercise that ability to mobilize the funds. So it's not like go bring it from your account. It's about how you're able to mobilize and get people to act because they believe in your bid.
Thank you. When we are talking about institutions and we want our institutions to be strong, what was the motive behind the reason for asking for that amount of money? Just because you think that if you're a presidential candidate, you should be able to mobilize more money. There are people who can mobilize more money and
yeah. Have I lost you again?
Don't have the break the economy. The mere fact that you can mobilize more money doesn't mean that you are going to be... The mere fact that you can mobilize more money doesn't really mean that you can run the economy. The mere fact that you cannot mobilize money doesn't also mean that you cannot run this economy. The fact is that, is it right to increase our filing fee from over 100%? Is it right?
It's not right from your perspective.
Right, why do we do? Was it meant for us, for the EC, to discourage multi-party participation or eliminate some political parties from contesting the flag bearer, or what was their motive behind? Because they have a budget.
What do you think? You think this is an agenda to drop some of the political parties from contesting?
I think so. I think so. I believe that it is just. But don't forget, my dear, if we are going to sell Ghana to the highest bidder, very soon, foreigners who also have Ghanaian passport will now team up themselves, form a party, and then take over Ghana.
Let's talk about the parliamentary. Let's talk about the parliamentary.
To join the race.
Let's talk about the parliamentary elections, Mr. Ayariga, briefly before I go to Sofo Trabosom. The parliamentary, Mr. Palu here thinks that 100,000 for the presidential candidate is okay, but for the parliamentary candidate, 10,000 is too much. He wants it to go back to 1,000. What are your thoughts on that, briefly, so that I can bring Mr. Sofo Trabosom?
I even think that if I had this discussion a week ago with Mr. Kwalu because of this, and I told Mr. Kwalu that I was going to petition the office of the EC for them to reduce the filing fees of parliamentary candidates and presidential candidates so that we get more people to participate. It is true. What is the salary income of ordinary Ghanaians in this country when you put a parliamentary fee at 10,000?
So you also wanted to be. So you also wanted to be 1,000.
I would have thought that the EC would have reduced the parliamentary by 50%, the presidential by 50%, looking at COVID-19 and the kind of the pandemic we are facing and the difficulties Ghanaians are facing.
Very well. Let me bring in Sofo Trabosom. Sofo Trabosom, what about the parliamentary seats? you have some candidates who will have to be paying 10,000 cedis. Is that okay?
What about the parliamentary seats?
I think you're muted. So for Troublesome, if you can just unmute for me, hit the unmute button for me so that I can hear you.
Hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
So for Troublesome, if you can just
yes,
unmute.
very good.
And we're having this difficulty because your television is on. If you can turn down the volume on your television, then you can hear me from the phone. That will work. Okay. Okay, please go on.
Over here. What Alassane was saying that they should have reduced the parliamentary distance. They have been in the system for quite a long time. They should have written to this EC to address this very issue before this thing starts again. Because all these years, 4 years, they have been a political party. They have been going around with these people. They are aware that this thing was moved from 1,000 to that very 10,000. They didn't talk about it all this while. At this moment that they are going to talk about this thing, they should have, we know you charge this out. 4 years ago, our parliamentary candidates paid this amount, and now this coming election, please, we are pleading with you, let's sit down and address the issue. But they didn't talk about anything of that sort. At this very moment, they are going to talk about that.
So for you, it's too late.
Yes, it's too late. If I may come in here, let's the EC sit down and plan for this this thing, parliamentary candidates fee. For that one, they can reduce it, and even if it 2 million OCD for presidential candidate, I'm not bothered, but because we are just leaders, 1. But these numerous people, the number of people, 275, might have now got about 168 candidates for MPship. So they are going to pay all this amount to the EC. What are they going to use the money for? They have already been resolved by the government. They have been given the money already to run this very election. Why do they have to charge such an amount? For us, as individual, the presidential candidates are not so many. They can charge them such amount. For that one, I don't have any problem. But they should sit down again if it is 2,000 or 5,000, because up and young coming ones, they need to join this very race so that they will to be selected to go to parliament for us.
So from my conversation with all three of you, it looks like the consensus is that the amount for parliamentary candidates ought to be reduced. But for
yes, that is what I'm saying.
But for Sofo Troublesome and for Mr. Palu, the amount for the flag bearer candidates, it's okay. Mr.
It's okay.
Ayariga thinks it is not okay.
As a hardworking person who wants to lead the whole country, if somebody wants to lead the whole country, and you are telling me that you are now going to source for this amount.
Okay.
No.
All right. I want to say a very big thanks to you. This is what time will allow us, and I think that the points have all been very well articulated. Hassan Ayariga is flag bearer of the All People's Congress, APC. Reverend Kwabena Andrews, also known more popularly as Sofo Troublesome, leader of and flag bearer of the Ghana Union Movement, a new party, and Kofi Akpalu is the flag bearer of the Liberal Party of Ghana, LPG. You know, you've heard the summary of their thoughts.